Hello, everyone. We're the Road to Glory podcast. I'm Juliet,
And I'm Cecilia.
and welcome back to another episode. In today's episode, we're going to be covering in season testing of both F2 and F3.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, because actually I don't think we were aware the last time we recorded, they both F3 and F2 already have an in-season testing, which feels crazy because like they've literally only done like one race weekend.
It's also insane that they don't really give information out to us until just before the test happens, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, test preview," and you're like, "Oh, you're testing?" This is kind of
Okay.
crazy since we've had one round, but it makes sense with F3 because they do have like a completely new car. So I would want to test after one round, but it is kind of crazy that we already have testing. It feels too soon.
It kind of does, because obviously they just raced in Australia, and before that they had 3 days in Barcelona. But I guess it's good to like test everything out and another track as well.
Yes, exactly. And the next track that they will be racing on. So it's good to get data from that.
Yeah, and also obviously we're still very early into the season with only one race weekend done. But what I will say is that now that we have had pre-season testing in Barcelona, a race in Australia, and now in-season testing in Bahrain, that is three pretty different tracks. So we can maybe like gain some information about who are the strongest drivers and teams this season now.
I totally agree with you. You're starting to see the same names popping up at the top and
Yeah.
the same names a little bit further down. We're starting to establish a little bit of an order. I mean, with FIGA series, everything is always insane, and there's sometimes wild cards, like people who you don't think are going to be there up top. But we are starting to see a little bit of a pattern.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. And obviously, with it being testing, as we said in preseason testing as well, we can't really gather too much because people can have like gotten ruined their best lap because of traffic, or they could be testing something completely different. But one thing the drivers at least can gain from this is the confidence of like if you are being one of the quickest drivers, you will take that with you into Bahrain for sure.
Exactly, and you'll feel a lot more confident on that track since they've just raced at it, and then they'll have a race in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, because honestly, I usually never keep up with in-season testing. Like it's kind of just there. But obviously now we have like gathered what went on and we will pass on that information to you guys. What in-season testing is, at least this time around, is 3 days of running in Sakhir, obviously, as you say, at the track they will be racing at next, where they did obviously have like a morning session and an afternoon session, but where it was like kind of more confusing for us to be honest, because both F3 and F2 were racing like on the same days, obviously not at the same time, but like we're switching between having the track.
Yeah, it was very confusing because initially, I thought it would be the same as preseason testing, which was like, well, the 1 week you'll have F2, the next week you'll have F3. And then I started seeing stuff about F3 pop up. And then I started seeing stuff about F2 pop up. And I was like, this is the same place. They must be sharing the track. Okay, different.
Yeah, but it worked out for them. And maybe this is what they do all the time. I just don't know.
Yeah, it's just like before I didn't really follow it because I wasn't as, because we have the podcast now, we have to know a lot more. So we can follow it for you guys, so you don't have to. But yeah, so who knows?
Yeah, maybe we have turned insane by keeping up with in-season testing. I remember, like, obviously, you were annoyed at the website that they use for live timing because it was not the same as pre-season testing. So, like,
exactly. Yeah. I was so pissed off because also in pre-season testing, their little car, the bubbles, the circles for the cars were different colors. So I was like, I can see exactly who is who. But for in-season testing, they were all the same colors. Yes, you could see the numbers on the bubbles around the track, but they were the same colors, and it was very confusing for me. I need my separate colors so I know who's who.
Yeah. So whoever you were, the person that made this website, look at Barcelona's website and do better.
Yeah. Take notes and bring it over.
Exactly. Please. or we'll come for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but obviously we looked at that every once in a while. You can't gather too much by just times popping up and stuff. But we also like read all the articles that F2 and F3 posted, and I felt like I was going insane, like reading them all at once. Like I was starting to question, like, is this just AI that write these articles? Because they all seem like using the exact same language. Like I'm questioning, is there a human being here writing these things or not?
That is interesting. If it's AI, that's
Mm.
kind of bad.
Yeah, please just hire me. Like I'm here.
Yeah,
I can
exactly. You need a job. Like,
yeah, but like obviously there wasn't like an author or like a person mentioned as writing the article, so maybe, but it also doesn't matter too much. But it's just a
what
thought.
what have you unearthed here?
Yeah, it felt kind of AI like, so maybe
Unless
it is.
they like someone in F3 uses the same template and just like drops stuff
Yeah,
in and
like
changes stuff.
insert name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
F3, F2, who are you using? Who is writing your articles? Let us know,
Honestly,
please, if you're
you
watching.
could do better. Yeah, if you're watching, that would be probably not. Anyway.
If you need help, we're here. Just gonna
Yeah,
say.
just saying it, just putting it out there.
Yeah.
We are literally like keeping up with everything, so we could write it for you. I'm just saying, just invite us for the next test. We'll be
Exactly. Let us come on site to testing. I will be there with my notepad.
there. Yeah, that would be great. But anyway, getting into what actually happened this
Yes.
weekend, like now we've rambled a lot.
Yeah.
Now it's the actual stuff. Starting with F3. So I feel like the main point to mention about F3 before we start going into like who were quickest and who did the most laps and stuff like that is we had a new driver on the grid again in this test.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, so basically for those who don't know, AIX, they had a driver that hasn't done F3 before called Jonas Reed doing the test for them. And obviously, he didn't get the seat for Australia, which was confusing us a bit because we expect, like, you just had a driver do these 3 days of testing. Surely you'll give him the
Put
seat.
him in the seat.
Yeah, they didn't. They put in the experienced driver, Nikita Bedrin, in, but like, announcing him as just doing round one, at least to start off with. And like now Nikita wasn't there for in-season testing. Now we got Freddie Slater in the car.
I'm really confused on what AIX are doing. Like, where are they going with this? But also, shame if Nikita does more races with them, he's gonna have done none of the testing. He's gonna be at a disadvantage. Like,
Yeah,
I'm very confused. They have to put Freddie in the car now. Like, logically, surely they're gonna put him in.
like it makes no sense. Like I remember, like when I saw the news that Freddie was gonna be in the car for in-season testing, I like sent you the tweet and was like, "What is going on in the household of AIX?" Like,
Literally. They
it,
AIX they work differently to a lot of other teams.
mm,
So I'm really curious why. AX,
mm.
if you could tell us, could you enlighten us, please?
Let us know because they haven't announced who is doing the Bahrain weekend yet. So it's very weird. And obviously, as you say, I would expect Freddie to be the one they pick as well because that guy, he's not that old. I was about to say man. But I also like mean to say boy, so let's settle with guy.
Guy.
Yeah, he dragged that AIX Formula 3 car up into the top 10 like every single day, I believe, in the test. Like he did
That is
so well.
so impressive. AIX sign Freddie right now.
Yeah. But it's like very confusing. Like, can they sign him? Because like I looked up Freddie, and apparently he's gonna be doing Formula Regional European Championship with Prema this year. So like, what can he do both? Is he just gonna skip one of them? What will happen?
That is so strange. Why
It's
are they
really weird.
testing? But like, why are they testing someone who they couldn't put in the car? Maybe they're gonna swap between Nikita and him for certain races, but like, that doesn't make any sense.
It makes zero sense.
Literally have one driver in your seat.
Yeah, please AIX, get your stuff together and like tell us who's gonna be in that car.
Literally.
Yeah, because like it's that obviously Freddie is a very good driver. He has a good track record of like winning a bunch of championships in F4 and stuff.
Yeah.
But like he's supposed to do Fricka and I believe a selected amount of GP3 races as well. So like he will be one busy bee if he got into F3. Like he must have like he can't be everywhere, surely.
No, he can't.
No. But it awaits to be seen what happens with that, I guess.
The mystery of AIX.
Yeah. We vote for Freddy to get the seat. So but we'll see what happens. Anyway, into what actually happened in the test. For day one, it's a good one for your prediction.
I
Was
know.
the whole thing I was thinking.
I was so happy when I saw that Nikola Solov was fastest in the morning and the afternoon. I was like, whoa, maybe I actually, like, I ate with my predictions, you know. Did you see he got a haircut? Sorry, this is...
Yeah, very off topic, but yes. And it looked good because, like, his previous haircuts have been questionable, I feel like.
It's an upgrade, but, like, what's with the mullet? Why is everyone getting mullets? I don't think mullets suit everyone.
No, true. I feel like it looked okay on him, though. Like
maybe it made him fast. So
maybe it did. We don't know. We'll have to wait and see. If he's
how are the mullet?
Yeah, he will keep the mullet if he's fastest when we get to the actual racing parade, I'm sure.
Imagine. I mean, Lando Norris also has a mullet recently, and he's been quite fast. So, like,
true.
Maybe there's something with mullets.
Yeah, maybe there is. Let's wait and see. Also, like, obviously, it is a thing with drivers thinking that haircuts does a difference, just psychologically.
Yeah.
Obviously, also with, like, Jack Doohan, like, with the buzz cut effect faster.
Exactly. He's, like, less drag, you know?
Yeah. Very interesting point. Yeah, maybe there's a magic to the mullet as well. The waits to be seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but obviously, Nicola did the clean sweep, was the fastest one. I feel like a driver to mention as well is the driver on the first day that was second fastest, which is Tuka Taponen. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it right, but I'm just going to say it like that.
Yeah.
Honestly, he wasn't fastest on any of the days, but he was always up there.
He was very consistent. And I was like, okay, Tuga, like, I haven't really thought of you before now, really, you know? You haven't made much of an impression on me. But throughout this test, he was really on it. So it would be very interesting to see what he is like in Bahrain. Maybe that's like just like a track that seems to gel with him.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see if it's like a track specific thing or if it's something he can like bring on to the other races because they have discovered something about the car, because obviously the F3 car is new and like everybody's learning and stuff.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, obviously he's a rookie in the series, and also like he's driving for ART, which they were really struggling in Australia. So like maybe they found something.
Maybe they've got to grips with this car. You know who else I feel like just overall in the F3 test was doing really well? Just Campos as a team.
True.
They seem to be really on it.
They were really like that.
So that's interesting.
Yeah, we'll see if like they can stay up there. Obviously, it's so difficult because there's so many different teams and drivers that we think like, oh, they could like really be up there when we come to Bahrain. But like they can't all be up there. Like somebody has to be last as well, unfortunately. It's just the way it is. Yeah, and also on day one there was only one red flag. So
that's such a win. For F3, that's such a win.
Honestly, also like with it being a new car, like you could expect there were more like failures of the drivers.
I know.
But they did really well. Only one red flag, so that's great. And also, an important thing from day one is that the driver that did the most laps was Christian Ho, who is driving for Dams. And obviously, they had a new team, so it's important to get that mileage in.
They really need those laps. Because they have been struggling before now. So crossing fingers for Dams and Christian that they've learnt some important things.
Yeah, I think I was about to say it would be interesting to see if Christian's teammates will be up there as well, because I feel like when we have talked about Dams, it has mostly been about Christian. I don't really notice the other drivers, to be fair, because they're not up there as well.
Yeah, I know Matthias seems to be It's
Mm.
I'm pretty sure his teammate's Matthias. He
Mm.
seems to be struggling with the car as well. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see if the other drivers get to grips with it.
There'll be a team to watch for sure. And now my notes disappeared, so everything's gone great. Okay, we're back. So moving on to day 2.
Yes.
The quickest driver, again, talking, as you said, Campos being on top with Mary Boyer this time.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying. Campos seem to have gotten to grips with the car on the test. Who knows if it's just a test thing or what? But yeah, Mary Boyer had a strong day in day 2.
Yeah, he really did. And it is an interesting point you say if it's just a test thing or if they'll be able to bring it into this, because I know from an interview with Nicola Solo, he did say that it was really frustrating for him that he knows he has to pace and like he's showing it in the test. It's just all about like actually putting it together when we come to the like race weekends for him.
Exactly. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see because races are always chaotic. You know, there's so many other factors that go into the race. So it is nice for us to know now that the Campos is fast. So
yeah, it really is. I really believe in Mary Boyer too. He will be able to perform well. Obviously, he was the fastest in the second day. And as I said, Nicola Solo, if he's able to put things together, he will be quick as well. I did want to put a bit of shade on him though, like saying things are frustrating that he's not able to put everything together. Maybe starting out by not crashing people out in the race would be nice as well. I'm sorry, but that was what happened in Australia.
You tell him. He's also very experienced, so he shouldn't be doing that.
No, it's maybe it was just an unfortunate incident, but we'll see in the upcoming races because I'm sure he'll be one to watch out for. Also because obviously he's one of the most experienced drivers, and Mary Boyer is also like an experienced driver. He's not a rookie either.
No.
Yeah.
Louis Sharp also did really well in the second day of testing,
He did.
which we love. I mean, we love all the drivers, but we love Louis in this household.
We stand Louis.
The Road to Glory podcast, we love Louis. So I was really excited to see him and Roden back up there again, and he had a pretty good test.
Yeah, he really did. Obviously, here in day 2, I believe he was fastest morning session, and then he was second fastest in the afternoon session. That's honestly super well. He's a rookie, and obviously he's getting to grips with the new car, and I believe the team is as well because they were struggling slightly last year. Obviously, that was a different car, but it seems like they've made some steps forward. Hopefully, we'll be able to see that in the race because things didn't go to plan in Australia. Let's just put it that way.
No. They did not, unfortunately.
Yeah, but obviously, if he can like put a lap together in qualifying and not get it ruined by like red flags, yellow flags, whatever, it would be so interesting to see what he can do. Honestly, I'm so excited for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there were no red flags at all. So big improvement from day 1.
A big win.
Yeah, day 3 is the day where the quickest time was set of the test. And that was Rafael Camara that set the quickest time for Trident, which is super exciting.
Really? And I mean, Trident seemed to be quite good. So your predictions are standing true with that. I actually don't remember who I predicted for the team. Did I do Campos? Did I go Campos? Or did I
in F3,
do Prema? Did I do Prema?
In F3, I think we both did Prema, and I kind of said Trident because...
But I did, like, yeah.
But as that, like, for Drivers' Championship, it would be one of the Trident drivers, which was, like, an easy guess because it's what happened the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
But it does seem like they're up there. I just maybe picked the wrong driver, but we're not talking about that.
You knew Trident had pace. That's what matters. You know, exactly. I don't remember which day it was, but I saw that 2 of the Prema drivers were dead last on one of the days, and I was like, oh. Okay.
It's really worrying to see Prema really not being there at all. Yeah. It's like, where are you guys? What are you doing? Because obviously we can say it's just testing, but then we look back to Australia and they weren't really there either.
No, exactly. So I'm very curious on what is happening with Prema at the moment, because they have some really good drivers and some drivers that have really been hyped up So, and we haven't seen much. Like, I literally have not mentioned Ugo Ugochukwu like once, and I
No.
know like before the season started, there's so much hype around him. You know, he's a McLaren junior, and there's been nothing.
No, it's really weird. Like I was expecting more from him as well, but obviously it just seems like maybe it's a team thing that they haven't gone to grips with the car yet. Flashbacks to F2 with the new car last season, maybe it's something like that. Because I feel like the only Prema driver we have seen up there was like Noel Dion. So
Yeah, and he's been up there a little bit, but
yeah, he's also a good driver, but like he hasn't been top other than
no,
in pre-season testing. So
yeah,
it'd be
exactly.
interesting to see if they can like take a step forward because we are so used to seeing Prema being like the best team on the scene.
Dominate, really.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully they'll figure out whatever is wrong because I can't imagine it's the drivers, honestly, as you say,
No.
with the hype that they have and yeah.
Exactly. But yes, back to Trident. They seemed like the team to beat on the final day of testing.
Yeah. So basically we just if we have to like sum up F3 in season
Yeah.
testing, who were fastest was Camara and Trident, and we think that obviously since Camara is the leader of the championship,
Exactly.
it does seem very positive for him right now.
It does. I mean, he's on a good streak. Let's keep it that way because I really like him. And let's see if he can continue this because I mean we only have had one race.
Yeah, exactly. So everything can still happen. The championship is wide open, obviously. And also, I do hope Noah Stromsdal, new Mercedes Junior, will do well as well. He wasn't like as close to Raphael, but he was still like up there most of the
He
time.
was.
So yeah, I have faith he will do
Yeah.
well. So moving on to F2
F2.
in season testing,
Yeah.
and here there is the controversy we have to start to talk about, and that is not all drivers did all 3 days of testing.
Nope. But to be honest, when I was reading up about the test, they only really mentioned that once. They were like, these drivers are not taking part in the third day. Other than that, they didn't say anything.
No.
So I'm wondering, did they get the same amount of tires as everybody else? Because then they would have had more tires to use on 2 days than because they didn't need to spread it out on 3.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, honestly, because I haven't seen anywhere if they were like limited to fewer tires. Because I don't know what it says in the regulations, like if the amount of tires are like very specific to what amount of days you have. So like maybe they had less.
Exactly. That's
But
what
if
I was
they
really
had,
curious about.
because if they had the same, then they wouldn't really have lost anything. Because I almost feel like they must have had less, because it says somewhere like how many tires you're allowed for
A
amount of
day.
days. Yeah. But if they didn't, that was a big loophole if they had the same amount of
Yeah.
tires.
Imagine.
Because for those who don't know, obviously in preseason testing, there was the whole drama of 3 teams doing illegal things,
Yes.
which was basically, and it wasn't like all drivers that got the 10 place grid drop that weren't allowed to drive the third day in season testing. It was only like a select amount of them, so it wasn't like as serious on every car apparently what they did.
Very,
And
it's so strange. It's such a strange situation. And like we're getting like bits and pieces of information like fed to us. So I'm still like confused on the whole situation.
yeah, I really am as well, because the only thing we really know is that the drivers that weren't allowed to drive that they was Jack Crawford, Emery Codile, Alex Dunn, and Max Esterson. And then obviously like Trident and Dams in preseason testing, they were like, it was both cars that did something illegal, but apparently only it was the most severe on obviously Max Esterson and Jack Crawford's cars. So she like it's so unfortunate because like it's not the driver's fault, but it's their car, so it's them that
So they
gets
lose
hurt
out.
by it.
Yeah.
Exactly. And what basically happened, if we like have to clear that up, was that the teams modified the car to fit additional sensors. So that's why the FIA believe they did gain valuable information that the other teams couldn't. So that's why they weren't allowed to like test as much, because they feel like they already
They've
kind of tested
already
too
gotten
much.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
Well, I
unfortunately,
mean, it makes sense, but it's an
yeah.
unfortunate situation, and one that you as a driver never want to be put in.
No, exactly, because you still must have that feeling in the back of your head that all the other drivers had one more day than me, and like, what could I have done on that final day and stuff like that.
Exactly. Like if you are, if some of these drivers are struggling with the car, like a lot compared to the other drivers I have tested, I'd be so upset. Like, that extra day of testing could have given me valuable information, but it couldn't do
Yeah,
it for the team. Oh,
exactly. Hopefully the drivers will be able to like move past that and not think about it. But it did seem like the third day that they missed out on, the first part of the day was very much used for like long runs and stuff because the times were pretty slow. So like
yeah,
maybe that was what they missed out on, which obviously could hurt them in a
in
feature
the
race.
race.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great race. But hopefully it won't be too bad for them. Hopefully they also like obviously it was only which team was it? It was only Rodin that had like both cars out, but
Yeah.
like Triton and Dams could at least like use data from the other car. The Rodin is a bit more
Both.
screwed, to be honest. Yeah.
Shame for Anne-Marie Cordial. He's
Yeah.
just come into that car. Wasn't his fault.
Yeah. Another reason to like find a positive in obviously Christian Mansell not being there, because it would have been him that had to stand.
It would have.
Yeah.
This is off topic, but did you see that Christian Mansell actually spoke out for the first time since announcing that he was not going to be taking part in the season? And he says he really misses racing and he's going to be back as soon as he can. So I really hope he is back soon. I mean, we still don't know what happened and why he had to pull out so close, but obviously we're respecting his privacy and not prying.
Yeah, it was really nice to see that obviously he put something out there, and I really appreciated it. And obviously seeing that he's as okay as he can be. Obviously we don't know why yet, but I'm sure we will find out at some point. Just like
I'm sure when he comes back, he'll probably say, if it's not too personal.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah, so unfortunately, we won't be seeing him this season, but we are excited to see him back on track as soon as possible, wherever that will be.
Yes, exactly. And you know what? Day one was good for your predictions.
Yeah, day one was pretty. That was really solid, honestly. With the obviously Victor Martins, the person I like to call the unknown ART driver, because that was what I mentioned in preseason testing prediction. No, just like before the season started, predictions. Yeah, before Victor had been announced, I did say he would do well. I didn't know it was him, but still.
But you
I'll
said
take credit.
And as of today, he's just signed, because we know he got dropped from being an Alpine junior.
Yeah.
He's just signed with Williams to be a junior driver for them. So that's very interesting, because we know Williams does crazy things with their junior drivers. So let's see what happens.
Exactly. It is obviously breaking news as recording right now. It won't be when you watch it.
No.
But it was very exciting to see, because obviously Alpine dropped him, or like they pilot race at least this season, which is honestly such a good move for Victor looking at it now, because Alpine are so busy with so many drivers.
They do. He does not need to be there. Like, he's just going to be joining a long line and he's going to be right at the back. So it's probably better for him to be at Williams.
Yeah, and it'll be really interesting to see if like he'll get one of the rookie sessions, because honestly I'm pretty confident that he will. Obviously Williams also have Luke Browning in F2, and he will surely also be doing FP1s, but obviously this year it's a new thing in F1 that the teams that don't have like rookie drivers as their permanent driver will have to use 4 FP1s
so it's more
so instead of 2 last year. So like who knows, maybe we'll see Victor in 2 FP1s this year in Williams.
That'll be interesting, because I don't actually know when it was announced, but recently we got announced that Dino will be taking part in FP1. for Ferrari and Bahrain. So I am interested to see when Williams use their rookie sessions and
Yeah,
who they put in the car.
yeah. Because I feel like they probably will like split it between the two, but I also feel like they will use that competitive element maybe of like whoever does better maybe gets in the car first, but then who knows?
It'll be
Not really
interesting to
sure.
see.
Yeah, I was also surprised with Dino already doing FP1 in Bahrain
It's
because
quite soon.
it's really early in the season, which like normally we don't see the rookies until like very late in the season. But obviously now, obviously Ferrari also having to give 4 FP1s up, maybe they do need to get like a head start compared to the previous seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We usually see it more often with like home races. They'll tend to
Mm,
put, if a rookie has a home race, them in FP1. Like,
yeah.
because there's the atmosphere and stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll see Luke in Williams at Silverstone.
Yeah.
Oh,
I would really hope so. Also because we're there. But
yeah.
honestly, when it comes to Williams, I'm not putting my hopes up too high because I feel like it was very weird last season as well. That obviously they still had at that point Sakhir Sullivan as their junior driver in F2, but they chose to give Franco the Silverstone FP1, which was kind of interesting. But obviously, it makes sense because they did pick Franco for the seed.
In the
But
car,
still,
yeah.
yeah,
But like
it
at the
felt
time, it
unfair
was
at the
like,
time.
and then we know that Sakhir Sullivan dropped out of
Yeah.
F2 for lack of funding.
Yeah.
So like it does make sense, but at the time it was like, why are you not putting your British driver in?
Yeah, exactly. So like we don't know. Maybe we'll see Luke hopefully in the car that day, but it could be Victor as well. We'll wait and see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Back to day one of
yeah.
F2.
Getting back on track.
Yeah.
Honestly, okay. So it was Victor that was fastest again. Another thing that's really good for you was that Archie was second fastest on day one.
I was really, really. For those who don't know me, I'm a very, very big Pepe Marty fan, right? And he actually had a very good test overall. He was kind of
Mm.
up there, and I'm just like, okay, please can this be his season? Please, because
Yeah.
he's had such bad luck before. But I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to say anything more. But I was very happy.
Yeah, and it will be really interesting to see what Campus and Pepe can do this season because obviously a lot of attention has been on Arvid Lindblad. Everybody talking him up to like almost getting an F1 tomorrow kind of thing. Like, no, but soon,
Yeah.
definitely ahead of Pepe. But if
Mm.
Pepe can do better than him, it'll be interesting the dynamic what it will be in Red Bull.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I would love for Pepe to actually finally get an FP1 because we haven't had.
Yeah. That would be so cool. And like it could obviously he has a pretty good chance because it could be in either Red Bull or Racing Bulls,
Yes.
obviously, with the affiliation there. And also both no, not Racing Bulls, but Red Bull do have like 4 sessions they have to give up as well. And like Racing Bulls only 2 because they have Isaac Hadjar who took up
Yeah.
the first 2 obviously. But like still that's 6 sessions that they have to like give up combined. So a good time to be a Red Bull junior, I think.
Yeah.
Definitely. And obviously moving on to day 2 because not that much happened when it's just testing, I guess. So like just we've covered the main points. Day 2 is very good for me, and obviously that's Gabriele Mini being fastest, and also like setting the fastest times of the whole test. So that was really nice to see.
Exactly. You see, your predictions are going great.
Yeah, I know wheel in F2. Maybe not as much in F3. It's still kind of, but F2.
That's your baby.
It's a good time. And like for the 100th time already, and we're like only one race in, but for the 100th time, I've written down in my notes, Prema and ART back. Because it's the exact same thing we're seeing. Again, with Victor being fast on day 1, Gabriel and Mini being fast on day 2. Like they are up there, both teams, at least
I
with those
mean,
drivers.
if you keep writing it over and over again, maybe it's true. Maybe
I feel like it is
maybe
true.
they actually are back.
Yeah, because not only in pre-season testing where they're fast, not only in this in-season testing where they're fast. In Australia, we literally had Gabriel and Mini taking pole, Victor Martins being second, and then obviously Mini getting a penalty, so Victor took over pole. But like those two drivers were literally at the front before the penalties. Like, please just, I know what's up with F2 apparently.
You know
I know
what's
my
up.
yeah. So that was really, really great to see. And I'm sure they'll be, honestly, I feel very confident when we get to Bahrain, it will be those two drivers that we see like fighting at the front again. I would be surprised if it isn't them. But like, we never know, obviously. Also be interesting to see if Victor is driving in Williams livery next weekend when we race.
Right, because he'll put it on. I love the Williams
Yeah.
livery for the juniors. Oh, I think the car looks so good. Although, I mean, this year I haven't noticed it too much, but last year I could not tell the difference between Williams and Dams.
No, I think the Williams is a bit like dark this year at least,
Yes.
so should be able to tell the difference.
Yeah, because last year was bad.
Yeah, talking about liveries looking the exact same, I thought I would have an issue telling Rodin and Campos apart because they're both white this season.
Yeah.
That wasn't my main issue. My main issue was telling Rodin and oh god, why am I forgetting his name? Oh, I was struggling with telling Rodin and Ritomo Miyata apart because when you see his car from the front, because he's Toyota back, it's white and it looks just like the Rodin, and I get confused.
Come on, let's have some variation here. Like, I know there's driver number, but sometimes it's so small that I cannot tell who you are.
No, and it's so annoying because Ritomo does have like an AIT livery, but because of his, I believe, isn't it like Toyota backing, like it is too wide from the front, and like obviously when we see them racing, we often see them from that angle. So I'm like, but who?
What is happening?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, moving on to the final day, which obviously we had a little fewer drivers being there, but it was still a nice testing day where we saw Richard Bashaw being fastest, which is like, I can't even deal with how funny it is with my predictions at this point. Like, it's getting too much. Like, honestly,
I think the universe was listening to you when you said those, and they're like, okay, we'll give it to you. We'll give it to you.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. Because, like, how do you explain me saying in predictions that Gabriel Mini would win the championship, or the unknown ART driver, or Richard Bashaw in his fifth season? Like,
what the test was telling us.
Yeah, it's literally insane. Like, what are the odds? What are the odds?
Crazy.
It really is.
I feel like one of the drivers to mention in F2 testing that was really well was John Bennett.
I was just about to say so as well. He was fastest in the morning session, so that was really cool to see. Obviously, because he did the jump straight from GP3 to like obviously taking over I think it was Enzo Fittipaldi's car in the last couple of race weeks last year. But like this is his first like full rookie campaign in F2, and like he seems like be doing all right, especially compared to the fact that he's just skipped F3.
Exactly. I think it's really impressive to see him up there.
I really like to see him there. It would be interesting to see if he can like actually be up there in the races as well, because he hasn't really put it like that quick quali lap kind of in, but like in long runs, which is also important because a lot of things can happen in the races. He seems to be quick, and like obviously skipping F3, and I also think he got into racing pretty late, like in 2020 or something. So like definitely he has a steep learning curve ahead of him, but it would be interesting to see what he can achieve.
For a little bit of context for the viewers, we were on a call like a couple of days ago. We're just discussing stuff, about the podcast, and we mentioned John Bennett, and we were like, oh, we haven't really seen much of him. Like, let's see what he can do. And we mentioned Cian Shields, and we were like, oh, okay, he hasn't really done much. Let's see what he can do. Those two drivers really showed us what they could do in the test. They were listening to what we were saying. Like,
the universe was like, do your thing now, John Bennett and Cian Shields. Like
prove yourself to these two random girls. Show them your potential. And they did.
And they did, and that was honestly, it was so funny to see. Like, that was the first thing I thought when I saw them being up in the timetable because they haven't really been so far. And like after us talking about them, they were like, "Yes, I will be fast today."
Yeah, like I will show you what I'm capable of. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, and it will be interesting to see if they can carry it into the race weekend because it will be cool to not only see like the main protagonist of Victor Martins Gabriele Mini being up there. Like, it will be fun to mix things up a bit.
Exactly. Even if they get like qualified 10th and they get the reverse pole, that'd be nice to see.
Yeah, also because the teams have been struggling in previous seasons. Obviously, AIX are really on the up with Dirksen, but interesting to see if Kian Shields can keep up, and also like with VAR if they can like break into the top 10 more often as well.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that was it for in-season testing.
Yeah, I think we covered everything, kind of all of the notable stuff. We just wanted to put F2 and F3 together because there's not too much that takes place during in-season testing, and then it would be like 2 smaller episodes, so we just bashed them together. I really hope you got some insightful information and laughed along with us, because I feel like I laughed a lot today.
Yeah, I feel like today was a funny episode to record, so I hope it was funny for the viewers as well.
Yeah, I hope so. Leave comments, suggestions of what you want to hear. If you want us to cover any specific drivers that you don't really know much about, or go onto our Instagram, because we have a series there called Meet the Drivers, which we do a couple times a week or so. We post about some drivers and information that you may not know about them. So head over to all of that. All of our socials will be linked wherever you're watching this on.
Yeah, so stay tuned for more exciting content here on our podcast and also on our social media. And if you have any ideas or any content you want to see, please let us know and we'll try to do as much as we can.
Yeah, thanks so much for watching. Bye.
Bye.